There is an old principle quietly preserved inside Jewish households, passed down through generations of women like an unspoken code for how life inside a home should be structured. At its core is a simple framework built on sevens: 7 daily practices, 7 weekly practices, and 7 monthly practices, forming what is known as the 7-7-7 pattern. It was never something taught in formal settings or written as modern theory. Instead, it survived through lived experience, observed inside homes where order, discipline, and a sense of blessing were naturally connected. Mothers learned it from grandmothers, and grandmothers from those before them, forming a continuous chain of wisdom. Over time, this system shaped how homes were organized, how time was respected, and how prosperity was understood not as randomness, but as something that follows structure and rhythm.
Those who lived by this approach were not students of financial strategy or people attending lectures on wealth creation. They were grounded in everyday responsibilities, focused on caring for their homes rather than analyzing success as a concept. Their view of prosperity was not shaped by visualization techniques or motivational ideas, but by consistency in daily living and disciplined routines. In their understanding, abundance was not something forced through constant effort. It was something that naturally appeared when the environment was properly arranged. Like rain that falls only when the ground is ready to receive it, blessings were believed to arrive when a home was prepared in the right way. This perspective draws from deep mystical traditions, often associated with Kabbalistic thought, where physical actions are seen as reflections of spiritual alignment. When a household is structured correctly, they believed, flow and stability enter without resistance. This entire 777 system is made up of 3 interconnected layers: daily actions, weekly practices, and monthly routines. Together, they form a living structure that influences the atmosphere of the home from within. It is not based on superstition or random ritual, but on the idea that consistent patterns shape mindset, behavior, and environment all at once. When applied with discipline, it affects how a home feels, how it functions, and how it responds to pressure from the outside world. Many people overlook the fact that long-term stability is often built from small, repeated actions rather than major, dramatic changes. Once this structure is understood and practiced, it becomes clear why some households seem steady even during chaos, while others struggle despite having similar conditions. The number 7 itself holds deep symbolic weight in Jewish tradition, representing completion, balance, and the natural end of a cycle. Sacred teachings describe the world as being formed over 7 days, with the 7th day, Shabbat, standing as the completion of creation and the arrival of rest and blessing. Agricultural cycles also follow this pattern, with 7-year intervals leading to release, renewal, and restoration, followed by a larger cycle that culminates in Jubilee. Mystical teachings further describe 7 channels through which spiritual energy flows into the physical world, shaping how divine influence becomes part of everyday life. When earlier generations built household systems around this number, it was not chosen casually. It reflected an attempt to align daily living with what they believed to be the fundamental rhythm of existence itself, creating harmony between human life and universal order. The first layer of this system is made up of 7 small daily actions, each one simple on its own, but powerful through repetition. These are not complex tasks or demanding rituals, but steady habits carried out with consistency every single day. Their strength does not come from intensity, but from rhythm, because repeated structure is believed to influence the energy of a home far more than occasional effort ever could. Each action serves as a subtle signal that shapes both the environment and the mindset of those living within it. The key idea is uninterrupted continuity, since breaking the cycle weakens the sense of order the system is designed to build. Over time, these practices become automatic, requiring less conscious effort, while creating a stable foundation of balance and clarity throughout the home. The very first action in this daily sequence is something remarkably simple: opening a window each morning. Before the household fully begins its activities and before the day settles into routine, at least one window is opened to allow fresh air to enter the space. This is done consistently regardless of weather, even during cold or rainy days, because its meaning goes beyond practicality. In traditional understanding, air is closely linked with the idea of light and renewal, suggesting that its movement brings a refreshed quality into the home. Starting the day in closed spaces is believed to keep yesterday's emotional energy trapped inside, while opening a window signals readiness for change. It becomes a quiet daily statement that the home is prepared to receive new energy, new movement, and new opportunities. The second daily practice is making every bed in the house before anyone leaves for the day. It was never treated as a matter of appearance alone, even though an orderly room naturally reflects discipline. In this tradition, the bed is understood as the vessel of rest, the place where the soul withdraws and restores itself each night. Leaving it unmade was seen as leaving that vessel unsettled, as though the foundation of personal renewal had been left in disorder. The grandmothers held firm to this habit, believing that disorder in such an intimate space could slowly extend into other areas of life, including stability and financial flow. From a spiritual perspective, outer order is believed to shape inner clarity, and inner clarity is what allows provision to move freely. The act itself takes only moments, yet its long-term influence is viewed as deeply stabilizing across a lifetime. The third daily practice is wiping down the kitchen counter and stove immediately after each use, rather than waiting until the end of the day. Every time food is prepared, coffee is made, or ingredients are handled, the surface is cleaned right away. Within this worldview, the kitchen is not just a practical space, but the central point of nourishment in the home, often regarded as a place of offering and receiving. Just as sacred spaces are maintained with care between rituals, the kitchen is treated with the same respect between meals. Allowing residue to remain is not seen as simple neglect, but as the slow buildup of stagnant energy. Over time, even small traces are believed to affect the atmosphere of the home. Immediate cleaning restores a sense of clarity, keeps energy moving, and reinforces appreciation for daily sustenance. The fourth daily practice is sweeping the kitchen floor each evening. This is not the same as mopping, which belongs to a slower weekly rhythm, but a quick, intentional sweep that removes the day's crumbs, dust, and scattered remnants of activity. In this tradition, the kitchen floor is viewed as the base beneath the home's center of nourishment, and its condition is thought to influence the overall sense of stability within the household. Even though the action is simple and brief, it carries symbolic meaning of clearing away the accumulation of the day. Many grandmothers would perform it as the sun went down, often moving quietly, sometimes humming or reflecting inwardly. What appears to be a small chore becomes a grounding ritual, marking the transition from the busyness of daytime into the calm of evening rest. The fifth daily practice is ensuring that all dishes are washed before going to bed, leaving no sink full of utensils overnight. In many traditional homes, this was enforced with great seriousness, not only for cleanliness but for the sense of completion it represented. Dirty dishes are viewed as symbols of unfinished cycles, meals received but not properly closed. In this understanding, food is part of a spiritual exchange of nourishment and gratitude, and leaving the vessels unclean suggests that the cycle remains open. Such incompletion is believed to subtly affect future flow and provision. By contrast, ending the day with a clean kitchen reflects closure, order, and respect for what has been received. It signals that everything has been brought to completion before rest, allowing the next day to begin without carrying unresolved remnants from the previous one. The sixth daily practice is bringing something fresh into the home each day. This could be a small herb, a single flower, fresh fruit, or even a glass of clean water placed intentionally on the table. The exact item is not as important as the presence of something new and alive within the space. Freshness, in this tradition, represents movement and vitality, a reminder that life energy is meant to circulate continuously through the home. A household filled only with static and unchanging objects is believed to gradually lose its sense of renewal, allowing stagnation to settle in. Introducing something fresh each day serves as a quiet signal that life is active and unfolding. It reinforces the idea that abundance is connected to flow rather than stillness, and that a living environment naturally supports ongoing growth in every area of life. The seventh daily practice is speaking gratitude out loud before going to sleep. Unlike silent reflection, this is an intentional verbal acknowledgement of appreciation, traditionally connected to the evening recitation of the Shema in Jewish practice, though many families expanded it into personal expression. Before rest, one specific thing from the day is named with gratitude, whether it is food, safety, health, or even a simple peaceful moment. The emphasis is not only on what is said, but on the act of speaking itself, as words are believed to give form to intention. Ending the day in this way closes both emotional and spiritual cycles with recognition rather than absence. In this view, gratitude expressed at night shapes the quality of the following day, influencing how opportunity, provision, and experience unfold moving forward. The second layer of this system is the set of 7 weekly actions, which creates the structural rhythm that holds the entire household together. Unlike the daily practices that shape constant atmosphere, these weekly tasks go deeper, reaching the areas of maintenance and renewal that cannot be properly maintained day by day. Traditionally, they are carried out once a week, often on Friday, in preparation for Shabbat, a moment that naturally marks transition, reflection, and resetting within the home. This weekly cycle is what ensures that small daily upkeep does not gradually turn into hidden buildup. It brings the entire house back into alignment on a regular rhythm, preventing disorder from becoming embedded over time. The first weekly action is mopping all floors in the home using water mixed with vinegar. This is not limited to the kitchen but extends to every room, ensuring that the entire living space is refreshed at its foundation. Within this approach, the floor represents the base upon which daily life unfolds, and therefore it carries the accumulated weight of everything that has happened during the week. The vinegar is traditionally seen as a purifying element, used not only for physical cleaning but also for restoring clarity to the environment. By cleansing every surface at once, the home is symbolically reset, as if the entire structure is being brought back to neutrality before entering a new cycle. The second weekly action is cleaning all mirrors and glass surfaces throughout the house. This includes windows, mirrors, and any reflective surfaces that gather dust, fingerprints, or smudges over time. In traditional mystical thought, reflective surfaces are often associated with perception and awareness, symbolically linked to how clarity enters and leaves a space. When they become clouded, the sense of openness within the home is believed to weaken. Cleaning them weekly restores transparency, both physically and symbolically, allowing light and visibility to move freely. It becomes a way of ensuring that the home does not carry distorted or obscured reflection from one week into the next. The third weekly action is washing all bed linens, regardless of whether they appear visibly dirty. The emphasis is on rhythm rather than appearance. In this framework, the bed is more than a place of rest. It is seen as a space that absorbs the emotional and energetic residue of sleep, thought, and unconscious processing. Over time, this accumulation is believed to settle into the fabric of daily life if not regularly cleared. By changing linens every week, the household begins each cycle with a renewed sense of cleanliness and reset, preventing subtle buildup from carrying forward and influencing the atmosphere of rest. The fourth weekly action is thoroughly cleaning the refrigerator, removing expired items and organizing everything so that contents are clearly visible and accessible. In a traditional household structure, storage spaces represent provision and management of resources, and the refrigerator in modern life functions as a central storehouse of sustenance. When it becomes disorganized or neglected, it symbolically reflects a lack of awareness or control over what is being received and used. Weekly organization restores clarity, ensuring that nothing is wasted, forgotten, or hidden. It reinforces the idea that provision should be managed with attention and respect, not left to accumulate into disorder. The fifth weekly action is replacing purifying materials placed around the home, such as vinegar, salt, or baking soda. In this system, these substances are understood not only for their practical uses, but also for their role in absorbing and neutralizing unwanted buildup within the environment over time. As they are believed to reach saturation throughout the week, they are renewed before the arrival of Shabbat. This replacement marks a symbolic and practical reset, ensuring that the home begins each new cycle without carrying forward what has already been absorbed and released. The sixth weekly action is clearing all visible surfaces of clutter throughout the home. Every table, countertop, shelf, and open space is reviewed, and anything that does not belong is either returned to its proper place or removed entirely. Clutter, in this system, is not seen as neutral. It represents stagnation in physical form. When objects accumulate without intention, they begin to affect how space feels and functions. Regular clearing prevents this buildup from becoming normalized. It restores simplicity and order, ensuring that the home remains a place of clarity rather than accumulation. The seventh weekly action is setting the Shabbat table before sundown on Friday. Even in households where Shabbat was not observed strictly in a religious sense, this practice was often maintained because of its deeper symbolic meaning. Preparing a clean, intentional table with candles, bread, and a sense of readiness is viewed as an act of expectation rather than obligation. It reflects the belief that the household is preparing itself to receive goodness and provision. This final act of the weekly cycle becomes a declaration of readiness, signaling that the home is not only maintained, but prepared for renewal, rest, and continued flow. The third layer of this system is the set of 7 monthly actions, which governs deeper maintenance over longer cycles. These practices address gradual buildup and structural issues that daily and weekly routines cannot fully resolve. They operate on a slower rhythm, but their impact is foundational, ensuring that the home remains stable and functional over time, rather than gradually declining into unnoticed imbalance. The first monthly action is deep cleaning the oven and stovetop, removing all burned residue and restoring cooking surfaces as closely as possible to their original condition. In this framework, the kitchen is considered the space where transformation occurs, where raw materials are turned into nourishment through the application of heat. Fire is often associated with refinement and purification, representing the process through which something is made usable and complete. When cooking surfaces are neglected, that transformative process becomes symbolically clouded. Monthly deep cleaning restores clarity to this function, ensuring that the act of preparing food remains aligned with order rather than accumulation. The second monthly action is inspecting and repairing anything in the home that is broken or malfunctioning. This includes small issues such as leaking faucets, loose hinges, cracked tiles, or burnt-out lights. The underlying principle is that unresolved damage in a home represents a form of ongoing loss, even if it is not immediately visible. Small faults, when ignored, are believed to accumulate over time and create a subtle drain on stability and resources. Monthly inspection ensures that these issues are addressed quickly and consistently, preventing neglect from becoming embedded in the structure of the household and maintaining a sense of wholeness in the environment. The third monthly action is dedicating time to clearing out one storage area in the home, whether it is a closet, drawer, or shelf, and removing anything that has not been used within the past month. The key idea is not to overwhelm the household by trying to declutter everything at once, but to work in small, consistent stages. One area is addressed each month, and over the course of a year, every storage space is naturally reviewed and refreshed. This prevents the slow, unnoticed buildup of unused items that tends to accumulate in every home over time. In this approach, order is not achieved through rare, large efforts, but through steady, intentional cycles of attention that keep the environment light, functional, and free from unnecessary weight. The fourth monthly action is cleaning beneath all beds in the house. This practice is connected, in symbolic teaching, to the idea of foundational stability within the home. The space beneath the bed is often neglected, yet it quietly gathers dust and forgotten objects that represent what is no longer being consciously held in daily life. In this tradition, such hidden areas are seen as influencing the overall sense of flow and balance within the household. By regularly clearing this space, the foundation of the home is kept clean and unobstructed, reinforcing the idea that stability begins in the unseen areas just as much as in the visible ones. The fifth monthly action is washing all windows, both inside and outside, to ensure that natural light can enter the home without obstruction. Light, in many traditional interpretations, is associated with clarity, vitality, and renewal. When windows become dirty or clouded, the amount of light entering the space is reduced, which is understood not only in a physical sense, but also in terms of how the home feels and functions. Regular cleaning restores transparency and openness, allowing the environment to feel brighter, more expansive, and more connected to the outside world. It becomes a way of ensuring that the home remains receptive rather than closed off or dimmed by accumulation. The sixth monthly action is reviewing household finances with awareness and intention. This is not framed purely as accounting or technical tracking, but as a conscious reflection on the flow of resources in and out of the home. The focus is on understanding patterns of provision, responsibility, and stewardship rather than simply numbers on a page. In this perspective, money is treated as something that responds to attention and respect. When it is managed with awareness, it reflects order and responsibility. When it is ignored or left unexamined, it becomes disconnected from intention. Regular monthly review reinforces mindfulness around provision, ensuring that the household remains conscious of how resources are being handled and sustained. The seventh monthly action is performing one act of significant generosity beyond the regular pattern of giving. This is not the everyday form of charity, but a more intentional and expansive gesture of support, whether through financial assistance, preparing food for someone in need, or offering meaningful help to someone facing difficulty. The emphasis is on giving in a way that stretches beyond routine comfort. In this teaching, generosity is viewed as a channel that expands through use rather than diminishes. Acts of giving are understood to strengthen connection to abundance by allowing resources to move outward freely. This monthly practice reinforces the idea that flow is maintained not by holding tightly, but by giving willingly and with sincerity.